Lost my mind, now I'm feeling so fine, cause I finally realized I don't need you. I'm feeling sublime when you're watching me shine, and you realize it's time I don't need you.
Everybody, this is Imani, and I'm here with
Brooke, and we're
Rick, and this is our Heaven Sent
and we're
podcast.
heaven sent. So Imani, how's everything going? What did you accomplish over the week?
You said what was that?
What did you accomplish over the week?
Well, I'm glad that you asked. I did accomplish a few things that I was proud of. That I feel like, going back to what we talked about last week when we referred to community, I feel that since I changed my feed online and my circle in real life, I find that I am much more cognizant of the spending that I participate in, and I recognize how everything is connected. So we live in hashtag treat yourself culture right now, where you deserve it, do you, especially as a woman and as a mom. It's just like, you know what, go ahead, do what you want to do, and nobody would tell you that you're wrong, except for the people that I follow and the people in my circle, who very much preach that you don't have to hate your financial journey, where you just stay inside and look longingly out the window, wishing that you could go have fun. But you budget the fun so that your fun isn't robbing you of your rent money, or other things that you need. So that is one win that I feel like I did very well with. Something I've been working through now is I guess the grind starts after an emotional high. So I used to say the same thing about like Christian faith, where if you go to a church and you go to a service and everyone's like, whoa, it's so exciting, I love God. And then after that, though, is where your walk really starts, when you get home and when those same people that you were talking to on Saturday pop up on Monday. Like, that's when you got to make some choices. And I feel like the same thing has been happening to me lately with my goals and plans I've set to perform. I was so excited because January 1st is here, 2021, new year. I'm about to kill it. And then, it was like January 10th. I'm like, I'm tired. All right. I'm tired. I want to eat Cheetos in my bed, and I don't want to get up early. I don't want to do the tedious work, because a lot of times if you start doing something, it is tedious in the beginning and then it works its way out where it's not so much that way later on. But to get yourself started and to get yourself continuing after the fireworks, after the conversation, after you've written it down, is a whole other hurdle. Like, you have to win the battle in your mind too. So that's what I've been working on. One of the things I've been doing is telling myself I can do one thing toward this goal. So sometimes the goal is overwhelming because it feels like I need to reach it today. Like, having it in the forefront of my mind also comes with the pressure of feeling like I need to get it done today. But no, I do not. So if all I do is wake up early and knock some stuff out on my to-do list, or I've been telling myself, if all I do is wake up early, that's one habit that I have wanted to implement for a while, waking up before my household, before things get crazy. So anything that I can do to chip away at the goal, I've been giving myself a pat on the back because it's moving me in the direction that I want to be in, even if it's not big, even if it's not, I always say, post-worthy, something that you'd necessarily celebrate with a million other people on the gram. But those little wins are meaningful because little things become big things. So that's how I've been chipping away at that, like coming down from the emotional high is, yes, the work does start after that, but you don't have to be an Olympian. You can be consistent where you're at and just kind of add on to it in increments. What do you think about that, Brooke?
I definitely agree with you. That getting up early in the morning and how you start your day is so detrimental. This week I actually had a change of schedule this week because of some things that I've been in the process of implementing started this week. So I'm back to the early schedule where I have to leave out the house at 6 something. And when I had to leave out the house at 8, I had so much more time because I was waking up at 5 still. And I had hours to get stuff done. So last week I was, meditating, working out, even getting work done and doing some stuff in the morning before I walked out the door, like literally on the computer, working. So you do have to go with the flow. And we're close to mid-January, and that momentum wears out quickly. That New Year's momentum, it wears out quickly. And the older we get, it wears out even quicker. So yeah, we have to be intentional about the things that we're doing every day to be progressive, um, and what our goals are. So there were some things last week. Last week I was able to get some things done in the morning, um, to line things up so I can start this week on one of the contracts. And it's just all about a process, and putting things in place. When I had my family meeting with my son this week, um, I was actually pleased to say, I met my goals this week. And he was pleased to meet his goals. We set our goals for this week. And then he was asked to do something. He said he's going to do something new this week. That was his goal. Nothing specific, just general. Just, I'm going to do something new, something out of the box. So, and somebody called him and asked him to do something that he wasn't comfortable doing. But he could do it. And he called me and he said, well, I wanted to do something new this week. So I met my goal for the week. And I said, well, that's great. And he said, maybe I'll do something else new too. So, I mean, it's all about, like you said, consistency and staying on top of it. And we started implementing the weekly meetings. We used to have a monthly meeting, but to me, a weekly meeting keeps us more on our toes. And no, it's not a 30, 40, 60-minute meeting. No, it's 15 minutes. I have a teenage son that lives with me. He's 18 years old. He does not want to be bothered with his mother. Period. So I try to make it painless. And as we speak more, sometimes it does go 15, 20 minutes because we actually are having dialogue and helping and planning what we're going to do to be progressive this week and what our goals are for the year. So last week we discussed breaking down our annual goals into our quarterly goals. And then we need to break down. So now, since we have our quarterly goals, this is our goal that we're going to meet in 3 months. every 3 months we're going to meet a goal. So now we have to break these quarterly goals down into 3. So for quarter 1, you're going to make 3 landmarks. For quarter 2, you're going to make 3 landmarks. And for quarter 3, you'll make another 3 landmarks. So, and then quarter 4, 3 landmarks. And those will be your monthly goals. You'll end up with 12 goals, and you'll have a goal for every month, or a goal to meet towards your journey for every month. Of course, we've broken our goals down into quarterly, monthly, and now weekly goals, as I just said with my son, because this is something that we've started to implement to keep ourselves consistent in being progressive. So quarterly to monthly goals. Well, me and Imani are starting a podcast. We're just going to use this as an example. So recordings. We need to do our recordings. We need to create our content. You need to create your brand. Just the basics. Those might be the quarter 1 goals. To create the basics, to put everything out there and make sure that things are done. Then we might break them down into 3. So the first month might be just content. The second month might be publish, social media, things like that. Get it rolling. The third month might be very light advertising. So that way, when quarter 1 comes, we've met the basics. And that's just how you want to break down any of your goals. If your goal is to buy a house this year, so quarter 1, so you broke your annual goal is to buy a house. Now let's break it down into 4. So the first quarter, I'm going to make sure my credit's straight, right? The second quarter, I'm going to contact the mortgage rep. The third quarter, I'm making an offer. The fourth quarter, I bought my house, moving in. So that first quarter, you're getting your credit straight. How can you break that down for 3 months? Well, if you got to get your credit straight, first thing you got to do is what? Pull your credit report. That's number 1. Number 2, you have to assess what's going on your credit and start cleaning it up. And no, it takes more than 3 months to get your credit straight. But I'm just using this as an example, okay? You pull out your credit, you look over everything, you make sure you're good. You might clean up some things that aren't in line. So then that way, when you get to month 3, you can reach out to the mortgage rep. Or it might be month 6, you can reach out to the mortgage rep. If you haven't started working on your credit, it's going to be month 6. You need at least 2 years of good credit. 6 months, though, bare minimum. You want it clean, everything paid on time, et cetera, et cetera. But that'll be a discussion for another day. So have you broken your goals down from quarterly to monthly, Imani?
Have I broken mine down? I believe so. It actually was funny to me to hear you say the tip of annual to quarterly to monthly, because I realized that I've actually been doing something similar, and I didn't even know that that's how you did your goals. I was listening to it, I'm like, wait a minute, that reminds me of myself. But what I was doing was, instead of 4 quarters, I've been doing 3 phases. and that's helped me. But it's been the same sort of thing where it's like, okay, phase one is X, Y, and Z. What do I need to do to get there? And in my journal, I'll put like an expected date. So I hope to have this resolved by this time. And I get really excited when I get to cross out my expected date and write the real date. I'm like, look, I got it was a month early. So I think to answer your question, I have not done that. But I think that I would like to implement probably a little bit of both, because certain processes are more tedious than others. So I think that especially if I have a detailed process, like let's say renovating my brand, if I'm looking at like 3 different types of media and like revamping like a website and contacting freelancers to help me, like that's a very tedious goal where there are some things that I can handle and some things that other people will have to handle for me. So having it broken down quarterly and then monthly and then daily helps me, because then I can schedule in that first month all the things that are waiting for me to do. And then from there, go through, well, what can somebody else do? What do I need to do in the first month to make sure that I can afford to even outsource by the time I get to that point in my timeline? So I think that I definitely want to implement that strategy into some of the goals I have, particularly the ones with many different pieces or many different people that are involved. And I'll tell you, as a freelancer myself, we love when you know what you're doing, because most people say, help me. And you're like, I wish I could, you know? What do you need help with? Everything. Well, you know, I love when somebody says, look, I want to have my book published by March 30th. And then I, as a freelancer, can basically hold my plan, my process over their plan and their process, meld it together, and then we end up meeting that deadline. But when somebody says, help me, I need help with everything, I don't know where to start, you know, you almost end up being a project manager and the freelancer, and you don't want to do that. If you're creative, you want to just be creative and help them with their creative needs. You don't want to like do a Yanla, fix my life with them, you know? So so that's a gift that I want to give my freelancers that I work with, is a plan. And I believe that the breakdown that you mentioned, quarterly and monthly, will help to present that plan, because it's important for pricing. You know, you go to a creative and say, I need help with everything. How much is that? They're gonna be like, how much you got? Like, how much is your salary? Just give me your salary. You know. It helps with pricing, it helps with timelines, and it also helps to even see if that person's a good fit. Some of the stuff that you want, or some of the things that you want by a certain deadline, a freelancer may not even be able to accomplish, and you need to know that so you can go elsewhere, or so they can refer you to somebody else. You know, but I'm definitely going to implement that because it's very important, and it also helps keep you motivated. An efficient process keeps you motivated. When you wake up in the morning on like a Saturday and you have free time and you want to do something, but you have no idea where to start, that excitement just kind of fizzles out into nothing, because you're like, I want to do something incredible. I don't know where to start. So Netflix it is, you know? But having like your very next step in your plan, you're like, oh, maybe I'll go and do that. So now you have a direction to channel all that energy and do. So that's my goal for implementing that.
Well, I like that you gave us a different method. Same thing, similar method. That is very important. Because not everybody learns the same. Not everybody operates the same. And what works for one person may not work for the other person. So I actually like that you said I do something very similar. I break it down into phases. Phase one, and then I break it down into steps of the phases. It's the same thing. Whatever is going to make your goal tangible, um, that's your goal. Is to make your goal realistic, to make it touchable, to make it something that can actually happen. So it doesn't matter the method because everyone's path is totally different. But as long as you have some sort of structure to make sure that you're getting it done. This weekend you sent me a sermon, Michael Todd. Um, and the sermon, uh, I can't remember the word that he used. That was his
Do you mean the word at
but
the end?
yeah, what was the
Anchored?
word at the end? Anchored. Anchored. Well, one of the things that he talked about, and the reason why I'm bringing it up earlier when you said, the grind starts after the high, right? He discussed having the vision while you're in the rut. And something that, you know, I just personally went through, 2017 to 2020 April, pretty much I was homeless. I was living with different families, friends, etc. And coming out of that, like I said before, I don't know if it was the first one or the second episode, but 2020 was my year. And when I got hit with reality, that was what was, happening in 2020, I started to get a little distraught, like I've come this far, but I still haven't come this far. And one thing we have to remember is we do get that vision in the valley. We get that with oh the street term, we get that battery in our back. But you get that umph, you get that desire, you get that passion while you're going through tough times. So even though you're going through tough times, remember what you see ahead is the direction that you're going. What you see ahead is what you're working on. So you got to have that vision in order to meet your goals. You have to. If you don't have that vision and you don't see yourself accomplishing what you want to accomplish by the end of the year or the end of the month or mid-year, June, July, it's not going to happen. The first things first is you have to see it and then make it real. Plan it out. Make it realistic to get to. Make the steps, write the steps down. Um I also liked what you said when you said that you have to do step one to position yourself to possibly have to pay someone to help you with step two. And that's very important. Do the free things first. Do the free stuff. Do the things that you can do yourself. Plan it out, prepare it out, you know, find out what things that you can do yourself. Do your own graphics, do your own website, and then pay someone once the things get rolling. Once you get a little bit of income or once you get a little bit of attention, something that's showing a gradual increase. So then you can invest more and more and more. I still am an accountant. So you still have to be cognizant of your spending. You still want to invest, but at the end of the day, about 85% of our population lives paycheck to paycheck. So disposable income is scarce because we spend money on a lot of mess. So reduce your expenses and create avenues to position yourself and position your company to pay for the next step, because there are going to be things that you can do yourself, and then there are going to be things that you're going to have to outsource, period. There will be things that you can do yourself and you can outsource later when you want to improve the quality that you're giving. But there are going to be certain things that you're going to have to outsource. There might be certain things that you have to purchase, you have to buy. There might be inventory, software, etc. Whatever you might need to enhance that business or make it happen. So, being that we have our quarterly goals into our monthly goals, where we have our phases into our steps, the next step is weekly goals. We'll break the monthly goals down into the weekly goals. And as I mentioned earlier, in my home, we do a weekly meeting. I do the weekly meeting with my son. It also encourages me to make sure that I'm doing a weekly meeting with myself and the things that I want to prepare for this week and make sure that I accomplish this week so I can meet my goals at the end of the month. Weekly, of course, breaks down into daily. So these are the things we will discuss, and we will help you also break your goals down. So go ahead and break those goals down from monthly to weekly. And we'll discuss it more next week. Thoughts, Imani?
Yeah, I'm excited to try it. I think some of the greatest things about sharing on a platform like this is that you have to do what you say you're going to do because you have to have receipts to show that it works. So I think I can speak for Brooke and say, like, we're both excited to see what this time next year looks like after staying committed to our goals, both personal and with the podcast, and just continuing to show up and have that accountability. So I'm actually excited. I haven't been in school for a while, so it's good to have homework and things to implement and a weekly check-in. It does mean a lot when I know I'm going to talk to Brooke next week and I'm going to talk to you guys next week and you want to know what I did. Because I love this quote. I think it said, we can lie to ourselves. We can lie to ourselves, or we can let ourselves down and we won't feel bad about it. But when there are other people involved, it's a different level. You're like, no, I gotta do it. So I'm glad, because honestly, I've been lying to myself for years, telling myself, oh, I'll get to it. So I'm grateful for the homework and the accountability.
That's great. Yeah, because one thing I will say about this podcast, I'm more behind the scenes kind of person. Imani knows that about me. Anybody can call me at a drop of a hat and ask me for assistance. And if I have time, if I can't do it at the moment, I'm going to get to it. So I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of person. I'm not a more let everybody know what's going on. However, something that God's been telling me for a long, long time is transparency. Transparency, just being transparent about what's going on and being transparent about the things that you're working on, because this is going to help somebody else. Rome was not built overnight. I have been an entrepreneur for 20 years. Rome was not built overnight. Have I been a full-time entrepreneur for 20 years? No. Okay. I've probably been a full-time entrepreneur for about 3 years. And still still, still have every day 9 to 5 gigs, not necessarily jobs, but I have had jobs. But I've been more of a full-time entrepreneur for maybe 3 years. But I've been an entrepreneur for 20. And it's not built overnight. It's not easy. It's work, it's commitment. I was listening to my favorite podcast, EYL, with Mark Cuban today, and something he said was business is the most competitive sport. It really is. It's a 24-hour sport. If you are not brushing up on your business and you're not brushing up on your sport, how are you going to be the best? Or how are you going to outweigh your competition? How are you going to keep your clients and keep your customers consistent? Somebody else is going to try to come outsell you or low ball you, get that sale from you. Oh, I'll do it cheaper. So you have to be on top of it. And this podcast is helping me be transparent with you all on my journey. But it's also, like Imani said, it's holding me accountable too. I have a lot of things that I wanted to do. As I said, this is my year to finish. And it was absolutely appalling when I went through and I was looking at my files and looking at how much stuff I already had pretty much done. I was kind of disappointed at myself, but I needed that vision. I was in the valley. And right now I'm working on getting out the valley. So I want you all to come on this journey with me. Let's get out this valley and let's do what we got to do. So that way at the end of 2021 and next year around this time, we can celebrate. And we'll celebrate along the way. We got to celebrate. You have to celebrate yourself. So we'll definitely celebrate along the way, but it'll be great to see what 2022, January 2022 is looking like. So once again, thank you for joining us. Heaven Sent Podcast. Make sure you take your goals from monthly to weekly, and we'll talk about it next week. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
God got me, plant his seeds, let me breathe, cause I need him. Stay faithful, not hateful, I'm playful, cause he got me. He called me his angel, I'm flying to heaven. Just know that he sent me from heaven to flex it.